Constance Anastopoulo has been involved with law and ethics here in Charleston for over 25 years. And now she wants to take her experience to Columbia to become the next Attorney General of South Carolina. In this special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with her one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Constance, it's so good to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. I'm happy to be here.
Good, thank you greatly. You are here because obviously you're running on the Democratic side for Attorney General of South Carolina.
That's right.
Let me go back to your campaign announcement that took place a couple blocks here at the law school. And you basically said this quote, "I wasn't looking for a new challenge in my life, but sometimes when opportunities knock, you have to open the door." Tell me, what does that opportunity look like now that you have actually opened the door?
Well, it is, people I don't think realize how important the Attorney General's role is in the state of South Carolina. The way that our government is set up in South Carolina, we have a strong legislature, relatively weak governor, and a very strong Attorney General. And so the Attorney General is the chief law enforcement officer of the state. You're in charge of SLED, that's criminal investigations. You represent the state civilly in terms of actions, and currently there's an action against opioid manufacturers. And you represent the state to try to bring money back to the state for the citizens of South Carolina. So you wear two hats. One is as the chief criminal prosecutor and one as the chief civil lawyer for the state. So that's a really important role.
And you also went on to say this quote, "And as an ethics professor, I could not sit on the sidelines any longer." Can you describe to me the ethics in South Carolina right now?
Well, in my opinion, the ethics are, I think, getting short shrift. They are, when you have the chief law enforcement officer of the state, which is the Attorney General, obstructing justice and giving information to the chief person who's under investigation, and I'm referring to the Quintin family, who are under investigation, and when you have the Attorney General sharing information with the folks that are being investigated during the investigation, that concerns me greatly. It concerns me when I look at what the current Attorney General, when he reports his campaign contributions, and he has thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars from SCANA. And we've got this base load rate review act where the citizens of South Carolina are paying for a defunct nuclear reactor. And here's our Attorney General getting campaign contributions from SCANA and Santee Cooper and the executives of SCANA and the wives of the executives of SCANA. It's very concerning. When you see the current Attorney General getting campaign contributions from Purdue Pharma, who is the maker of OxyContin, and he is supposedly going to pursue civil litigation against Purdue Pharma for bringing OxyContin to the state of South Carolina. That concerns me. There has to be some level of ethics where you say, I'm not going to take money or share information with the targets of investigations.
And you also went on to say this too, quote, "I think the people of South Carolina deserve trust and honor in the AG's office, and that is why I have decided to run." Question, what do the people of South Carolina think of the current Attorney General?
Well, from what I've heard, Quintin, from what I've heard is they think very low of the current situation. And I say I wasn't looking for a challenge, but I don't need another job, but I want another job. I want to go to the State House. I want to clean house. I want to go to Columbia because I can bring ethics, trust, honor, transparency to the Attorney General's office.
And you went on to say this, bring real ethics reform to Columbia. What is that timetable in your mind?
Immediately. So one of the things that I proposed is a triple check ethics system. Okay? That includes an in-house review within the Attorney General's office. That is setting up an independent ethics review commission. And that's going to be comprised of former judges, ethics professors, and lawyers. To help build a wall between when the Attorney General's office has a conflict of interest as the chief law enforcement officer and as the chief lawyer for the state. And the third element of that is going to be judicial review. When we have a conflict, is let a court tell us, step back Attorney General's office, appoint a special prosecutor if there are conflicts. And so that's what I propose in terms, and that's going to be the first thing I do.
And you talked earlier about the legislature. You also mentioned this during your campaign announcement, but you said this: push our legislator for stronger laws for transparency and ethics reform, and to bring about real change. When you look at the legislature right now on the House and Senate sides, what do you see?
Well, you know, there's the current corruption investigation is ongoing. And there are some indictments coming. There's some indictments already. This idea of sort of pay to play is very offensive to me. I think that the people of South Carolina elect legislators to go represent the business of the people of South Carolina. And what my concern is with this investigation is that those legislators are going to Columbia and lining their own pockets. And that's not what they're elected to do. And I intend to clean that up.
And to go on, you basically said, hey, quote, the job of an AG is about representing the people of South Carolina and not the AG's own interests. So when you look at what else Attorney General Alan Wilson has done, what still plays in your mind?
Well, for example, he is filed an action with taxpayers' money to sue the state of California because the state of California wants to be a sanctuary state. Now, how does that help the people of South Carolina? That's our tax dollars going to sue the state of California. He just filed an amicus brief in Alabama to help enforce Alabama's restrictive voter access laws. Okay? How does that help the people of South Carolina? That's our tax dollars. That's the resources of the Attorney General's office being used to help the citizens or the people in Alabama enforce stricter voter ID laws. How does that help us? That concerns me. I'm interested in helping the people of South Carolina, not my agenda.
And where are you with this discussion about sanctuary cities?
Well, as the Attorney General, your job is to enforce the laws of the state. So if South Carolina chooses to become a sanctuary state, then my job as Attorney General is to uphold that. If South Carolina doesn't choose to become a sanctuary state, then my job is to just enforce the laws of South Carolina. So the Attorney General doesn't make those kind of decisions. That's the legislature's job.
The opioid crisis, where are you emotionally with that?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So there's two things I want to say about the opioid crisis. 10 years ago, in 2007, my husband and I represented over 600 plaintiffs in a case called In Re Oxycontin. And in that case, we civilly sued the maker of Oxycontin, Purdue Pharma, and we were able to get a settlement for those individuals individually to help pay for the cost of treatment, counseling, and to deal with the fact that Purdue Pharma was dumping Oxycontin into our state. Our Attorney General's been on the job 7 years. Now that I've gotten into this race, he has now joined other attorneys general across the country to sue Purdue Pharma. But at the same time, he's taking campaign contributions from Purdue Pharma. That's concerning. The other thing about the opioid crisis is I wear this bracelet that says Forever Nicholas. This young man died about a year ago. He was my daughter's friend from an overdose of Oxycontin. 17 years old, accidental. And it breaks my heart to see, I don't believe there's a person in South Carolina who has not been affected by this opioid crisis. Whether it's a friend, a family member, a co-worker, it has touched every person in South Carolina, and I intend to do something about it.
And let me get back to you. You basically said towards the end of your campaign announcement as, hey, quote, I am and I will fight for women. I will be the first female attorney general in the state of South Carolina. So there's something beyond law, that is. Who else is Constance Anastopoulo?
Well, I have spent my whole career, I've been a lawyer for 25 years, and I've spent my whole career fighting for individuals who often have no voice. I have spent my whole career fighting for women's issues. I've been on the board of my sister's house. I've been on the board of the Women and Gender Studies at the College of Charleston. And I'm just a strong advocate, and I've always been a strong advocate to bring women's opportunity, and we deserve to be paid for the same work, the same amount of money, right? In South Carolina, we have 12 domestic violence shelters. We have 46 counties. As Attorney General, I will push to have a domestic violence shelter in every county in the state of South Carolina. We have 12. We have 121 animal shelters in the state of South Carolina. We have 12 domestic violence shelters. Now, there's nothing wrong with animal shelters, But I think there's a disparity, and I think that speaks loudly to how this issue has been treated in the state.
When did they stop the discussion about domestic violence in your mind?
When did they stop?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure they started, Quintin, to be honest with you. When you look at a state with 46 counties and we don't have a domestic violence shelter in every county, we're one of the original 13 colonies. We've been around a long time. And that, to me, I think is really disappointing.
And from here until really the primary, and obviously the general election, what will you do to sprint to the finish line?
Well, the good news is for me, I don't have a primary. So right now I am focused on raising money, shaking as many hands as I can,
Okay.
talking to as many voters as I can, hearing what is concerning to the voters of South Carolina. What are they worried about? What bothers them about the current Attorney General? What bothers them about the ethics situation in Columbia? So that's what I intend to do between now and November 6th.
Constance Anastopoulo, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
I appreciate the opportunity to be with you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome anytime.